I'd like to share some thoughts on a recent talk given by Archbishop Gomez, who is the chairperson of the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. It was called Reflections on the Church and America's New Religions. The talk by the Archbishop caused some controversy, and I think it might be helpful for us to enter into a respectful dialogue with the Archbishop and to express some thoughts about it. So I went through the Archbishop's talk, came up with about 34 different points that he made, and we just like to engage in a dialogue about those points and see what we can learn together. First point he makes is about secularization and de-Christianization in terms of America today, that America has become a very secular country and it has become a de-Christianized country. I think part of the understanding here in terms of the de-Christianization is that certainly America was rooted in terms of Christianity. The earliest founders were, of course, Christians. But America, as it has evolved, has taken in more religions than just the Christian religion. So obviously, there's going to be a wider framework in terms of this whole question of how Christian the nation should be. So, for example, if there are Muslims in America, if there are Hindus in America, if there are Sheiks in America, if there are atheists and agnostics in America, should they be included as well? Or should we say to them, well, this is a Christian nation. If you're not Christian, yeah, you can sort of live here, but really, you're not really truly part of America, because America is overwhelmingly Christian. So how do we balance that out, that sense of the secular, the de-Christianization? I think we balance it out in terms of the freedoms that we give to people. So we who are Christians, those who are Jewish, those who are Muslim, those who are Hindu, can be free to practice their religion with, of course, the understanding that the earliest founders were Christian, but the Christian values that they instilled do not necessarily call for adherence to a specific Christian faith or to force a Christian faith on someone who is non-Christian, obviously. So I think the de-Christianization aspect has to be put in a larger context of, well, specifically, whom are we speaking about? If we're speaking about someone who is Muslim and we're saying, well, you're de-Christianizing America by being here as a Muslim, that really doesn't make sense. So I think we just have to be careful in terms of putting this general label of de-Christianization on America. Certainly, Christians should feel free to follow their Christianity, to follow their religion. Freedom of religion, very important. But of course, so should those who are non-Christian. Secularization is really a movement that is saying, well, we shouldn't have a lot of public displays of religion in terms of political gatherings, in terms of public gatherings where we're sort of gathering all peoples together. We shouldn't really impose a specific religion on that gathering. So if we have a gathering to celebrate, a special time, not to really emphasize the fact of the Christianity to the exclusion of those of other faiths. Certainly, we're going to celebrate our Christian holidays. Our Hindu brothers and sisters are going to celebrate Diwali and their holidays. Our Jewish brothers and sisters, yes. But the idea of forcing a Christian holiday on everyone just because the majority in the country are Christians, that would be something that would be deemed as inappropriate because you really have to include all in terms of America. So I think certainly Archbishop Gomez's point is that it's important to hold on to our faith, which is a great point, but we have to be careful in terms of this broad brush approach about secularization and de-Christianization. A second point that the Archbishop makes is that he says an elite leadership class has arisen that has little interest in religion. So there are these elite leaders, they have risen up, they have no interest in religion, and they're kind of fighting against religion. Problem, of course, is he doesn't mention who are these elite leaders who are doing this, how they're doing it, what they're doing. So it's kind of a vague charge, I guess, that is thrown out there. They have little interest in religion, and certainly there are those who don't have much interest in religion. There are those who are, take a negative view towards religion in our society. We're certainly aware of that, but there are certainly others who are have very positive feelings about religion. And part of our charge, I guess, as Christians, as specifically in my case as a Catholic, would be by my example to model my faith and to model my love for God and love for neighbor. So this elite leadership class, again, as a class type of thing, really a little bit too vague. Third point that the Archbishop makes is they feel that religion gets in the way of the society that they hope to build. So this elite leadership class wants to build a certain type of society, and unfortunately, religious people are getting in the way of them building that type of society. So naturally, they would be against the religious people because they're getting in their way. Again, well, we would have to ask, well, what type of society are they building? Who is building it? And how is religion impeding their building of this type of society? Again, very general on the part of the Archbishop. Getting into specifics, of course, would be important with that type of statement. He says they want to suppress the Christian roots of society. So certainly there are Christian roots in our society, Christian roots in terms of who the founders were. They were Christians, members primarily of the Episcopalian church, called at that time Anglican Church, right? So they were the founders of the society for the most part, and they certainly were people of faith, but did not want to impose that faith on others in the way they founded the country. They wanted to make sure that didn't happen. They had seen models of that happening in Europe, where if the leader was of a certain faith, all the subjects had to be of that faith. They didn't want to go that route. They wanted to allow for more freedom. There are Christian roots of society, but what specific Christian roots are being suppressed in society? And again, this general idea would be difficult to really speak about, but specifically, what are they trying to suppress? He then talks about, in his fifth point, about cancel culture and political correctness. He says Christian beliefs are being canceled and corrected. And he mentions specifically human life and the human person, marriage, and the family. So there's a cancellation going on. But again, we'd have to ask, well, how can anyone cancel human life? Certainly, you might be referring there to abortion, the fact that there are people who believe that abortion is a right on the part of a woman, and of course, legally speaking, presently, at least at this time, after the Roe versus Wade decision, it is the legal position in America. But to cancel human life, certainly that, how do you cancel human life? I mean, human life goes on, and canceling it. And to cancel the human person, You can't cancel people. Certainly, abortion is a choice that someone can make. It's a choice that we as Catholics do not accept as a valid choice. We believe it is an objective moral evil, obviously. But there are those who don't share that faith, that belief, that moral teaching that we believe is an objectively true teaching. And there are some who do not share that teaching. So, are they canceling life, or are they making a decision that they don't want to continue with a pregnancy? So they're not canceling certainly their own life or the life of others, but the life within them, which of course we would say is objectively wrong. Political correctness, and again, how this applies. They are trying to correct maybe certain teachings or have everybody follow a certain path. But again, in America, political correctness is a difficult concept because there are so many different political parties, persuasions, and ideas. So a lot of times that term political correctness is used to avoid maybe a dialogue or discussion about a particular belief. So some people might be opposed, say, for example, to some of the statues of the Confederates. People might say, well, they're doing the politically correct thing. Well, is it politically correct, or does it come from a place where they don't feel that those who advocated for slavery should be publicly honored? So again, what is politically correct and what is based on a belief, an understanding, a value that somebody has come to after reflection, that would be a matter for discussion. And the problem when we say something is just politically correct is that it really is a cancellation of dialogue. It's sort of casting an aspersion on that person that they really haven't thought about it, they haven't given it sufficient reflection, they're just following everybody else, they're following a party line, they're following the politics of the moment. And that really doesn't honor the person who is espousing the belief with dialogue, with saying, well, why do you have that belief? What is your reason for it? Rather than just saying, well, you're doing what is politically correct. So that kind of ends our first part of our dialogue with Archbishop Gomez, and it will be continued.